All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Ambassador Smith, Dr. Polzer, all participants and speakers today. My name is Stefan Bretterhofer. I am the Chargé d'Affaires at the moment here at the Austrian Mission and the Deputy Permanent Representative. I really would like to warmly welcome all of you here today, and it's really a great pleasure to see you here. And those that I can't see that join us online, it's really great that we have so much interest for this very important topic. And I would really like to invite you, like to welcome you to this side event today, this year's side event of the GloCha at the margins of the ECOSOC Partnership Forum. And some of you might have been there last year. We met at the UN headquarters last year for a side event of GloCha. And this year I'm happy that we could invite you here to the new permanent mission of Austria, which just moved in a couple of months ago. So we're very glad to have you here. We're honored to co-host this event together with the permanent mission of the Bahamas. And it's a privilege to introduce this event together with Ambassador Smith, who will speak right after me, and who also plays a crucial and very active role in this whole GloCha universe. So very good to have you here. You will hear more on the substance and the results of yesterday's Action Day workshop and exhibition, as well as the way ahead from Ambassador Smith, right, in a minute, Miro and several others that will be our distinguished speakers today. And by way of introduction, I just would like to limit my introductory remarks to maybe 3 elements and 3 thoughts I would like to share with you. First, I would like to mention that the timing of this gathering is both crucial and logical, because we're in the implementation of the Pact for the Future that has been adopted by the heads of state and government last September, but also we are now in the midst of implementing the Global Digital Compact. We're also at the peak hour of ECOSOC's annual cycle, and there's many other UN-led processes that are ongoing. So this is resulting in a very high degree of global commitments, transformative pledges, a general to-do spirit, and a feeling of togetherness. And that all of you are here, this just shows that we're together and try to work together on implementing all the actions we have adopted. However, we're also confronted with new challenges and also new vibes for the UN and the multilateral ecosystem. So I'd really like to take the opportunity and thank you, Miro, for your and your great network, actually. Yeah. And I want to mention, I'm quite proud to say that this network has roots in Austria, right? So that you're really capturing together with your team this Zeitgeist, as we call it in German, and for the inspiration and leadership that you and your team bring along. Secondly, the geopolitical context has to be seen against the backdrop of the multiple transitions our world is facing. Foremost, the energy transition from a fossil fuel-based economy to more renewable, affordable, sustainable, and greener sources. And furthermore, we are also witnessing the rapid digital transformation of our economies, cultures, societies, and the concurrent evolution of global governance instruments, as well as tools of coordination and cooperation, is also something we see in our daily lives and in the work we do. And this should help us to leverage the advantages, but also mitigate the risks and challenges of these emerging technologies. And thirdly, this is, I think, key in a gathering like this, the increasing role of non-state actors, of civil society, of local communities, indigenous societies, young people, and all stakeholders at every possible level and field. And I think we have a very good mix of stakeholders here with us today and also online. So that's, I think, shows that the topics we're about to discuss are very relevant for all of us. The bottom line is that there is no alternative to multilateral action and cooperation based on norms, the rule of law, human rights, and international law. And this also means that our North Star, if I may call it like that, will continue to be the 2030 agenda. as our shared vision and goal to overcome divides over the remaining 5 years. And I mean, you know the challenges, all of them: poverty, inequalities, the digital divide, and any kind of divisions based on geography, gender, age, or orientation. So how can we achieve this? I think besides a commitment to togetherness and cooperation, innovation has been a driving force in our evolution and will remain a driving force. And we're therefore extremely pleased to be able to host your platform today. And it's really a platform of critical thinking, talent, innovation, and creativity. So let me conclude with an invitation to remain active and outspoken, and to share your views, express your ideas, and become part of this GloCha innovation incubator that Miro and his dedicated international team have created. And without further ado, it's an honor to welcome again and introduce the permanent representative of the Bahamas to the United Nations, His Excellency Stan Smith. So I thank you for your attention, and over to you, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would first like to thank the Permanent Mission of Austria for co-hosting this side event with the Permanent Mission of the Bahamas. Deputy PR Stefan Pretover, very pleased to meet you, and thank you very much for the introduction. The changes, the disruptions, the emergences that are happening in the international community, Henry Kissinger captured them in referring to the tension between the present and the evolution of the present. And what Miroslav, my colleague of the Global Challenges Action Initiative, is going to sketch for the public here is a new kind of commons. It's a commons of tools, mechanisms, and systems that are really the beginning of a new irreducible minimum of what is needed to create productivity, stability, and robustness for assets, emerging assets, new actions, and new actors in the global community. All of the leading economists in their post-pandemic reflections talked about the need for a new innovation creation dynamic that will help us to achieve the sustainability that the UN aspires to achieve. And it means that we have to have stronger reflections on what we should do about partnerships, the kinds of partnerships we should have, the investment profiles that we should create and initiatives, what should they be? How do we execute what it is we seek to achieve? And what are the deliverables that we're actually seeking? In this vein, there is a logic that is consistent in the aspirations of common grouping of ambitions. And we saw that as early as 1967, when Malta introduced the notion of a common heritage of mankind to the UN in its address of that year. We then have a global commons, a basic universal set of things and resources that are needed for the planet and for human beings. And in recent times, we've had the introduction to our global vocabulary of this notion of the global citizen. The global citizen, all of us here, are actors who've decided at the international scale to localize everything that is planetary relevant for sustainability, for peace, and for resilience. These things are what we're addressing now in considering the innovations that are important for how the global community deals with the disruptions that we currently have. My colleague here is going to address some of these things. What I want to do is not be distracted by the mastery and the modernity and the efficiencies of these things. We have to understand that these things have to work in complementarity with the initiatives in the UN environment and ensure that these complementarities create scale. The most important thing we can do is, together with implementation, which the Sustainable Development Goals have been lacking. Together with implementation, it is to produce the right scale. And so one of the ambitions we have is to gather like-minded persons with the skill sets that we have in this room so that we can arrive at a scale that produces the impact that is consequential for global progress. With that, I'd like to offer Miroslav the opportunity to tell us more about this new commons that is being created and invite all of you to contribute to this exercise. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Smith. I'm so honored and happy and grateful to have you on our side, to have you as our leader in bringing this group of people who want to contribute to the common good in this global framework to build this bridge to the United Nations system. And I'm also extraordinarily grateful and happy that we have this event here at the Austrian mission. I'm Austrian, and being here, so to say, at a home, away from home, it's really a great pleasure. And thanks to the Deputy Permanent Representative and also to Christian, who has been our first connection point, who has also strong links to our province, and also to the Carinthian Slovenes. I have ethnic minority background, and he is appreciating this very much as well. And therefore, we are very happy about this. So a brief overview of the agenda today. We have now this welcome and thematic introductions, then a thematic session on AI and emerging technologies as enabler of global challenges action, and then a session presenting the Global Challenges Action Day initiative and whole of society mobilization approaches, solutions. And I will present the speakers as they will come up. So brief big picture view, what is this new Global Challenges Action, Innovation and Emerging Technologies Partnership? Sometimes we refer to it to GloCha, but we are now also in the phase to think about branding and communication. And so we will see potentially if we will find a very attractive new acronym, but it is in the past, it's GloCha. So a group of visionaries, social innovators, creators, youth leaders, impact entrepreneurs, philanthropists, and digital solution providers, which come together, spearheaded by my organization, IAAI GloCha, which is a UN-accredited civil society organization based in Klagenfurt, in Austria, in collaboration with the Climate Change Coalition, the Council of Global Change, Bioregional Embassy, the Knowledge Innovation Summit, Revolution Love, and many more partners who you will meet at today's event as well. And the permanent mission of the Bahamas is partnering with our consortium of expertise, talents, tools, and resources. And also the permanent mission, by hosting us here, is making a contribution to our endeavor to connect with the UN at the UN Partnership Forum. The aim here of our programs is to present outlined pathways and concrete actions towards whole of society mobilization for the global realization of the Sustainable Development Goals with knowledge-based, localized action and sustainable use of emerging technologies. We had events at the UN, as has been said yesterday, a Global Challenges Action Day design workshop. In the afternoon, a public presentation of our partnership, and then exhibit opening and celebration, so to say, reception. We had music, we've been dancing. It was really a very memorable moment in time, and today's side event. So the big picture again, what is the Global Challenge Action, Innovation and Emerging Technologies Partnership? It has the vision to build the biggest movement in human history, everyone joining forces for the local and global common good, and mastering the challenges of our time, one challenge at a time. And this goes only through systemic innovation, transformative innovation, with new thinking, with social innovation, public sector innovation, knowledge system innovation, impact entrepreneurship models, job creation innovation, digital innovation, harnessing the potentials of emerging technologies, and using cultural and the creative community and the innovation in this field for movement building. one of the pillars is that we are saying, as was also called for by our common agenda report by the Secretary General, the need for a new social contract where people from all areas of life will come together and find a formula to say, yes, we are going to work for the common good, on the local common good in a global framework. And for this, in combination with this systemic innovation, which was outlined before, this new social contract should manifest in one day during the year in which people are identifying the challenges that they are seeing that are relevant for them, and then localizing them, specifying them, and putting them in a challenges mapping information system, and then other players joining challenges communities. And on this particular day, the world is coming together and reporting what kind of action has been delivered on this. And we aim to bring this synthesis report of multi-stakeholder global challenges action to the UN President of the General Assembly or Secretary General. And this is one pillar of our activity. And the second big pillar is our Data and Digital Innovation Consortium. We're really engaging everyone is not possible without the data, digital innovation, and knowledge infrastructure. And we have outlined what we believe are the elements of this big public good delivery machine, so to say, through which everyone can get engaged and contribute the resources that are at hand, and delivering the common good and being rewarded and having secured the local and the global future. And it's about digital collectibles, digital identity management, global challenges action registry, geospatial data, citizen science and knowledge collaboration, Global Challenges Action Day dashboard platform and app for individuals and organizations, AI tools, and digital finance tools. We have a very good cooperation with UN Geospatial Network. They have an initiative, it's called One Map. And we believe that this localization and putting things on a map, that's really bringing everyone together. And we are a trusted partner for creating a data layer, citizen science, community level data collection in this one map. And one element of data and digital innovation is also our Digital Innovation Pavilion, which we have at the climate conferences, COPs. We had it started in Sharm el-Sheikh and then in Dubai and Baku, and we are planning a big also for the COP30 in Belém. Everybody kindly invited to express your interest if you would like to join the partnership, because that's your entry ticket also to Belém. And then we have Digital Art for Climate as one of our flagship initiatives, because this kind of Web3, crypto, people are very afraid. They say, okay, this is dangerous. And so, but our approach is to use this kind of technology for community building and for identifying actions and impact. And we show this with the Digital Art for Climate initiative, where, for instance, the contribution of an artwork is already an action, a resource that somebody from the creative community can contribute, and we can turn it into a digital asset which people can collect on their wallet. And this kind of logic people have to learn. And this Digital Art for Climate, through this we plan to bring it also in schools for innovative climate action learning and digital skills development. More on this later. Because of the timeline, we are present here at these big climate UN events. We are really determined to partner with the UN system. It's the globally mandated institution, but it's not delivering good enough results. And we believe that if we come and bring our knowledge and expertise and technologies together, we will deliver better results. So we are now here at the Partnership Forum. We will come again for the ECOSOC Youth Forum, for the SDI Forum in May. And then in September, we will have a pre-UNGA one-day conference again, and exhibit and festival potentially. And now one slide, which Susanna, our innovation director, will briefly present and say also a few words about our partnership in general.
Thank you, Miroslav. Thank you to the Permanent Mission of Austria for hosting us here today, and for Ambassador Stan Smith for championing this rather large mission that we are on together, and for all of you all for being here. This Global Challenge Action Day initiative is really an opportunity for global cohesion around what our greatest challenges are right now, and really empower localized action that integrates all the Sustainable Development Goals for the people on the ground to implement. As we can see with the US pulling out of the United Nations and lack of support for foreign aid, we really need to create more resilience from the ground up. And we really look to the EU also to be leaders on this effort, how we're going to distribute resources in a decentralized manner to people on the ground doing the good work. So these technology partners are laying down infrastructure for us to be able to record the action that's being taken and be able to track the impact and measure the progress, so that we can make sense of what's happening, and that can also inform the leaders of countries or the member states of the United Nations to take action accordingly and shape policy that really represents the need of the people, because the heads of state need to be actually in service to what the people of the land that they are representing actually really want. So I think this is a really important opportunity for civil society to get engaged, and also other stakeholders like the public, private sector, academia, our Indigenous brothers and sisters who are not in the system or really taking into consideration refugees as they're going to be fleeing from climate change. Whether or not we believe that climate change is caused by humans, it's happening, and we have to acknowledge that and adapt and create resiliency, which is really a ground-up initiative to create these mutual aid networks. And so I'll introduce a couple of our partners who are here with us today, Block Science and Regen Network, who are very instrumental in laying down the systemic infrastructure for sharing common knowledge for more effective coordination, and to be able to track the impact that the world can take together according to this new framework that we will introduce through the Global Challenge Action Day to align all of our activities.
Okay.
Should I pass it on, or?
Gabriela is now. Thank you very much, Susanna. Thanks for having help organizing this. And Gabriela Sanchez, Council of Global Change, our youth voice also, and entrepreneur and great player, coming up leader. Please.
Thank you, Miro, and thank you everyone for being here. Also the Austrian mission. Apologize for the delay. Hopefully I didn't miss that much. But I want to share like a few thoughts with you, some very simple thoughts, which are not that structured like as information, but as inspiration for us, so we can basically take in consideration and then expose our ideas and projects together. So I want to share with you that on Sunday in the networking lunch, I think not all of us were there, but I had this casual conversation with Casson, which I believe who's not here today. But we were speaking about children and how their mind works. And we both agreed that on something very powerful, that children don't see limitations, right? For them, nothing is impossible, and every dream can become a reality. They find magic in everywhere. We discussed how, as soon as our prefrontal cortex begins developing, we start losing the sense of wonder and innocence, right? We often swing to the opposite extreme, from innocence and dreaming and believing to everything seems impossible now. And we overcomplicate things that should be simple at some point. But then yesterday I had another reflection at lunch, and I reflected on the ideal of who's the ideal type of person, and who's the ideal type of person that succeeds. And I realized that success comes from finding the right balance between our dreams and achievable while keeping the imagination of a child and create the unbelievable. At the same time, we must not forget that we need structure and maturity and to ground us in reality so we can actually bring some dreams to life. The key is to maintain the innocence of heart, the passion, and the genuine emotions that drive us, while also understanding that life follows certain rules, right? And we need to play the game of life effectively. We must be smart enough to navigate it strategically. Influence and power are necessary to fulfill our ideals. Only when we leverage these resources can we truly change the system. Change doesn't happen simply by believing in words alone. It requires a strategy and action. So let us not be imagination, just be imagination without implementation. I think that's why we're here, to share ideas, to share projects, and for us not to be selfish and be selfless, to open our minds and invite each other to share resources, to share ideals, so we can complement each other between our abilities to make these projects actually happen. I believe everyone here in this room has been in a lot of meetings where we have listened to a lot of projects, and it will be finally fulfilling for everyone here to make those ideals a reality. So hopefully this inspire us today to keep that bold ambition, but with the right tools and a structured mindset. So I invite us all to share our resources, ideas, and tools to innovate, implement, because time will not wait for us. So thank you everyone for being here and for letting me have this space with you today. So.
Thank you very much, Gabriela, for your encouraging word and for your readiness for action, and that's very much appreciated. And now we have a certain agenda, but as Joao has to catch his flight, we will have hear first from Joao about the potentials of AI for enabling global changes action, please.
Thank you, Miro, and thank you everybody for these amazing times that we've spent here in New York to discuss ideas, projects, implementations, and implementations of the unbelievable, of things that maybe now can slowly start to be concrete out of imagination. And of course, artificial intelligence is going to take a very important role there, if at all we are serious on moving towards sustainable development. I'm with the International Research Center for Artificial Intelligence under the auspices of UNESCO. And our goals and aims for AI and sustainability are very concrete, are guided by the maybe complex sustainable development goals that we can discomplexify. And then we all have a role on that, on the participatory science, not only at the level of participatory science, but at the level of the global citizen that we all are, and that we can bring, enhance, and empowered by AI, empowered by the aims for sustainability, empowered by human rights and ethics on the back of this. So these are all flags of UNESCO, and empowered by education, capacity building the next generation of tomorrow that will be working and dealing with the compute will understand how to implement those technologies, that knowledge, that capabilities all over the world, so that if we want to truly decentralize, we need to decentralize knowledge as well. So I'm very happy to be here with you and to take part and to take an active role on that mission. Thank you.
I have your slides here, but there was an issue bringing them on. Sorry.
Sorry?
I had your slides here.
Okay. No. It's fine.
It's fine. Okay. So yeah, sure. Then now Austin, who has also a big component of this impact management handling technologies, which are enabled now with emerging technologies, Web3, and also AI, Earth observation. Please, Austin, if you could present and.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Austin Wade-Smith. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to be spending these days and these past couple of days this week with you all. My name is Austin Wade-Smith. I'm the Executive Director of Regen Foundation. We are a digital public infrastructure for registering impact claims that runs on an application-specific blockchain. We're one of the first Web3 or decentralized projects that's specifically designed and architected around having grassroots organizations and communities be able to log their climate positive or nature positive projects and be able to create different forms of digital or physical assets out of those interactions. And maybe stepping back from that larger idea to say, yes, impact registries are incredibly important, and distributed public digital infrastructure to support that is very urgent. I'd like to just reflect maybe at a higher level that various languages are being spoken by different stakeholders in this conversation. And everyone is in this room probably because you're a bridge of some kind, and you're conscientiously being able to bridge worlds. And understanding the sort of what metaphors we use and what priors we build our technology and our ideas upon, I think is incredibly important. So Ambassador Smith has been introducing this idea of commons, and I think they're incredibly relevant. Maybe somewhere between a dipolar kind of opposing logic of a market force and a state force, there exist these things called commons, and they've been around for a very long time. I would argue they're kind of essential to us being a social species, and most of the resources, if we want to call them that, on Earth fall into the category of the commons, like the atmosphere, the water cycle, aquifers, the carbon cycle. These are commons that people can easily access and they can easily deplete. So I see this type of distributed infrastructure, distributed digital infrastructure, as an evolution of the commons. And we're revisiting, I think, a fundamental pattern by which people steward the environment, where we collectively own and we collectively govern the access and the protocols around how we do that. It's not just about making sure that we don't overfish a bay. It's about also commoning the information that that natural resource or that living system produces. So commons are incredibly interesting, not simply because they're the really thorny problem, I'm going to argue, and I think blockchain governance can do an incredible amount to contribute to that, but that they work both in the physical, ecological layer as well as in the information layer. So thinking through these new applications of impact registries as a continuation of the commons is something I'm going to invite everyone to consider. And lastly, as this idea of a kind of social contract, speaking to the notion of a contract, you know, in the invitation to think around a new kind of social contract, I invite others to think about what other kinds of contracts we're implicated in. There's a natural contract, perhaps. We're in various legal or corporate contracts. There's such a thing as smart contracts. And so the kind of contracting layer around how we situate ourselves in right relation to to the world and to one another, we can formalize it into these things called contracts. And so another thing I'd like to open up is how can this digital infrastructure allow us to create enforceable and like concrete sets of relationships between individuals and the planet. We call them contracts, a new kind of social contract. So I'm really excited to be working with everyone here. I think there's a lot to be excited about, despite the fact that there's a lot that's hard in the world today. So it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Austin, and thank you very much, Sue, for having connected us. And you have really developed these tools already to a large extent, and therefore it's not just conceptual thinking and so, but really tools that are there and that need now to be put into a bigger ecosystem. And there will help also Jessica and Michael from block science, systems engineering players who will make the machine work. Let's start with Jessica.
So thank you so much, Ambassador Stan Smith, for championing this initiative. Really excited to hear the language of the commons being brought forth, and also to the permanent mission of Austria. My last name is Zartler, which is German, so vielen Dank for having us. And I'm happy to return in service generations later to some of my roots. There are some others as well, but I wanted to just start by mentioning, and I know I heard you, Ambassador Smith, yesterday citing some pretty interesting literature. So I wanted to put in the circle something called the Charter of the Forest that was written in 1217 in England and was crucial in actually protecting the commons in the forests of England against kind of the king who was running amok with the environment, and this was causing huge problems. And this actually legally, and it was around the same time as the Magna Carta, but you don't hear about it as much for some reason. But it's really fascinating. There's a brilliant book on it that discusses how this legally as well was maintained in England. And you'll still see in England as you travel about a lot of language around the commons. But speaking of digital public infrastructure, just to introduce block science, we consider ourselves the civil engineers of digital infrastructure. And actually Zargam's dad, our advisor, works in New York public transportation and often comes and gives talks about physical infrastructure and what it's like to govern the creation of a bridge when you have stakeholders pushing for environmental protections and other stakeholders saying, no, this is going to hurt business. How do we balance all of this? So I wanted to also bring into the fore this concept that Austin suggested of a cross of physical and digital. And that's our mission, is to bridge these two worlds through sustainable engineering. And we work closely a lot with Regen for the last 5-6 years as partners in this mission. And we talk about cyber physical commons. And now we're seeing that with the geospatial web and a lot of these other emerging technologies. So understanding the growing connections of technologies being more rooted. And we're talking about local and global and how we can maintain local governance in principle number 3 of Elinor Ostrom, the people affected by the decisions should have a say. How do we maintain the diversity of expression to allow for multiple solutions to emerge? As we know, Einstein said, madness is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So this call for expanding governance, expanding centering the edges, which is an ecology where interesting things happen, allowing the spaces for innovation. And the final thing I just wanted to touch on was emerging technologies. We hear a lot in the news about Bitcoin is terrible for the environment and, hacks and volatilities, and there are counters to these things. So emerging technologies are incredibly powerful, as we know. We can print our own currencies. We have AI. But I actually wrote an article some years ago kind of referring to it as Promethean fire. How do we wield the Promethean fire and minimize harm? We do need some guardrails. We need areas where we can have rapid prototyping, which I've been a part of some communities experimenting with emerging economic mechanisms, testing, doing modeling. I'm part of a research group that gets grant funding to test these economic mechanisms where we can program money. These currencies don't have to be volatile. So some questions, guiding questions for us, because I hear also some tension around people like wanting, we should have a new separate system and not wanting to integrate. But I think, as Austin said, we're bridge builders here. So how can we integrate? We don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater and start from scratch. How can we integrate these kind of new areas and have some guardrails? So block science has been a part of a lot of education of a new and emerging field called token engineering, applying engineering principles to these digital economies. When we build a bridge, we model it, we test it, we simulate. And with economic bridges, we need to do the same thing. So definitely safety, ethics, and responsible use of this Promethean fire is really important. That's something that, we love to champion in giving away our time and education. But there's so much that we can do with blockchain beyond cryptocurrency to enable the flow of resources to really where they need to go and to get these communities able to solve their own problems on the ground and have the resources to do so. So I'm incredibly excited for this group to be taking that on in a large way and discussing how we can build this digital commons together to enable those SDG goals being met and people to be able to have what they need to be able to respond to what the crisis really needs. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Yeah, and we are also extraordinarily excited to have block science as a partner and really bringing these ideas and these solution components into a holistic system with concept nodes, which we agreed yesterday. This will be one of our first steps to really work on a concept node for the Global Challenges Action Day, but later also for building these institutional layers in documents and publications that others will then be able to align on. And here Michael will also help us. You have protocol, institutional knowledge, and much more.
I'm Michael Sargam. I'm the founder and chief engineer at Block Science. I'm a systems engineer, so I'm like a little bit out of my element, kind of getting used to this environment with the UN crowd. I'm appreciating it though. I mean, one thing about engineering is that we have attention to both the accountable stakeholders for a particular engineering project as well as all affected stakeholders. And I think that's something that we have in common with folks who work in the, I guess this, what do we call the space that the UN is? I guess that's okay. So my area of specialization actually, for close to 2 decades now, has actually been the interplay between local activities and global properties. So some very mathematical formal work in my dissertation work, but also quite a lot of work in building organizations. In addition to being the founder of Block Science, I am a board member and a research director at a nonprofit focused on kind of digitally mediated governance. It's called MetaGov, and I'm a trustee and board member of a data trust. I'm very interested in, data and digital innovation, but in particular, I've sort of observed that digitalization has masked a sort of mass privatization of our knowledge infrastructure, and this is creating issues. And so really developing a kind of civic data infrastructure or more ethical data supply chains, as we sometimes say, is actually pretty critical to a healthy information economy. And that includes things like digital ledgers, blockchains, et cetera. Frankly, the ability to cryptographically verify the correct execution of a business process automation is incredibly powerful, as long as the business processes you're automating make sense. And so there's a whole lot of issues around like people just automating things because they can. That doesn't necessarily lead to good outcomes. But on the other hand, the ability to kind of really validate that a particular process was upheld with integrity is incredibly powerful if you take the time to get the right processes in place, they're context appropriate, and that they're serving the stakeholders that they're intended to serve. And so much of the work that we do at Block Science revolves around, as Jessica said, kind of the development of digital infrastructure. And it does range from work on helping design and analyze protocols in the Web3 space to the development of what are, again, these kind of knowledge systems. We've done some work on natural language requirements formalization, especially with the sort of popularity of LLMs rising. You have a lot of machine generated text. you have that machine generating text moving between organizations, and you sort of need to balance the capacity for rapid production with the capacity for specifying what is appropriate and the validation of that material against those requirements. And so in this effort to create like robust and trustworthy data supply chains, we find ourselves kind of, again, being infrastructure builders, talking to stakeholders and serving as kind of principals, engineers, and architects, where we have to go in, find a group of stakeholders who really understands the problem space and help them build the digital infrastructures that they need, which sort of brings us to this idea of the Global Challenges Action Day. So it's really great to have a day to focus on implementation and execution. As we've discussed at length, there's a lot of talk and we really want to move towards action. But I want to highlight the roles that infrastructures, in particular, like knowledge commons or kind of data infrastructures, play in individual action. So infrastructures, they organize the action situations. They determine what you know, and that will determine what you can even choose to do. It can help organize or orient the action of individuals or small groups who are extremely motivated, who necessarily are going to act in their local context. But if you want that to roll up into something that's globally impactful, you need like some mode of organizing or directing that towards those goals. And so we look at the technology not as the solution, but as a means to achieve a solution. And so when you're architecting, whether it's blockchain networks or data sharing networks, or even the legal terms of sharing between organizations or government administrations, you need to do that in a way that sets the table for effective coordination, because if you don't have the right information infrastructure, you're not going to get coordinated action. That's it.
Yeah, and as today's event is about global challenges, action, innovation, emerging technologies and partnerships. And it's clear that in these partnerships, when we really want to go big on it, we have to have the private sector as our partner, and we need to find the bridge builders also. And we are very happy to have Jeffrey Levine from NVIDIA with us, who is really such a bridge builder, common good oriented innovator, technology and social innovator. And we are connected since September last year. And since then, we have already identified some very nice action plans.
Thanks, Miro. And I agree. I feel like we've known each other much longer, especially after these last few days. I feel like I've known everyone here quite a bit better.
We are family.
We're all one family, and we're all in this together. And first, I think, like everyone else, I just want to thank the permanent mission of Austria, Dankeschön, for the hospitality, the wafers, which look delicious as I look around the room. Looking forward to enjoying a little taste of Austria later. His Excellency Ambassador Stan Smith, it's really been a pleasure getting to meet you in person. And I think there's a lot of gratitude. I think without your leadership and guidance and your knowledge of how to work on these public-private partnerships and how to navigate this giant entity such as the UN, we'd be kind of lost in the desert. And I think it's highly appreciative. And as I'm getting to learn more about your insight and learning how to navigate this, I think we're forming a beginning of a really great partnership. And Miro, thank you so much for bringing this all together. Without I don't know how you do it. The amount of enthusiasm you have and the people you're pulling together is quite remarkable. And I didn't really come in here prepared to say anything, but I came here to listen and learn. And Gabriella, she kind of got a little thought chain going when I'm thinking about youth and enablement. There's hard work. There's but I think it really comes down to luck. There's conditions that create luck. How many people here? We're all pretty successful. I think people here, you listen to some very brilliant minds, but I feel very lucky to be where I'm at, and I'm not sure about everyone in this room. How many people, by a show of hands, feel really lucky just to be in this room, to have the career you have, to have had the opportunity, the energy, the resources, the food. Maybe you had loving parents. Maybe you had a community around you. Maybe you had access to clean water, to electricity. And that's rare. We think everyone has it. We're in New York City, but the reality is most children in the world have none of this. They live a quite different lifestyle. And so I think what we're really trying to do is spread the luck. right? Because it's conditions, right? We feel like, oh, it was my hard work and my tenacity. Hard work and tenacity is important, but if you're lucky enough to have the right tools and the right resources, that's the lion's share. Your hard work on top of those resources is what really makes things happen. And I feel what we're doing here, I'm very excited. What brought me to work with you, Miro, is the idea of the one map, right? And I'm looking at remote sensing for better Earth data, for better decision systems, for better situational awareness, for climate adaptation, climate monitoring. And I feel we're on the beginning of something to where we can really do something important to empower the youth, the next generation throughout the global south and many places in the world. And it's really bringing in the tools and the resources. And I'm not sure, there's some authors that were coming to mind too, as I was thinking about this idea of, what creates education and this idea of this foundation of luck. And it's all probabilities of chance. Again, I'm with NVIDIA. We have AI or machine learning. It's just statistical process control. So it's really, we're having probability as chance, right? So we have these really great systems of making better predictions. So how do we make better conditions for children to become lucky, to find the developers, to find the researchers of the next generation that are going to solve these problems we're in? So frankly, we're not doing it here. And the people who are that are going to suffer the grunt of climate change or something like Susanna and I were talking about, whether, it doesn't matter if you believe in climate change or not. If you believe the water is flooding your house, the fire is going to burn your house, the air is not breathable, your lack of food, let's just focus on what's happening. That people are lacking resources and they need help. And we're living in a world which we see more and more. The government's not going to come and save you. You have to save yourself. It's the community. We have to look after each other. So by finding a way out of this to where we can, strategically find a starting place to where we can start this change, we can create the conditions so we can find youth that can become very lucky, and then we can rinse and repeat that. So it's just some authors that were coming to mind. Malcolm Gladwell, The Tipping Point. He really kind of tried to take the wind out of the sails of most of the founders of Silicon Valley, saying he kind of starts off with this premise, Canadian Hockey League, right? The majority of people who are professional hockey players, you go by birth year. There's a cutoff time. It happens to be the children born closest to the cutoff time. They're most of the hockey players are within that first month, second, third month, and then dwindles down because when you're 6 or 7 years old, those kids are bigger. 9 months of aging makes a big difference for a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old, and happens to be, well, the coaches just say, hey, there's a bigger kid, they're a little bit faster, they get more attention, they get more court time, and then over the years, they become more successful. The same with, if you look at Steve Jobs or Bill Gates, these people who grew up in Silicon Valley, they had access to compute resources where no one else had it. So not every kid did it, but the ones who had access to the resources, they became lucky. They did the hard work. The hard work has to be there, but the conditions, the resources. Like I was thinking of Jared Diamond. He's a really great author, anthropologist, and he has a book called Gun, Steel, and Germs. And he kind of takes out, it's like, culturally, some cultures like to think, oh, there's something special about us, but we're all exactly the same. We're all people. But it just happens to be the ones who had access to bronze were able to make bronze weapons. The ones who had access, grew up with animals, there's animal husbandry. Now there's germs that you are immune to, and you encounter someone else who didn't have that, well, they die of those germs. You didn't do that. It was just condition of the resources. So what I'm looking at is it would be really great to work with this group of people in the UN to find a way to change those conditions and provide the resources to youth so they can create their own luck and they can become immune to the climate change that's ahead. So that's where I'm coming from.
Miro, if I can take the word. Miro, can I?
Yes, please, yes.
So taking the words of Joffrey, it really touched me, his words, because I think not all of you were here yesterday, but the ones that were, I come from Ecuador, so where conditions are pretty different. Of course, there are different economic, social sectors. So I come from a modest family in Ecuador, in Guayaquil, Ecuador. So when Geoffrey talked about being successful and feeling successful and about luck, I believe it comes to luck when luck meets opportunity. I would never imagine being here, sitting down with all of you, brilliant people. And everything comes from my parents providing us a good education, where they make a lot of effort to provide us a good education in a good high school. But it was hard for them. They had to work a 9-hour job to receive a salary of $600 and have 3 children. So it's the conditions in different part of the world are very different. I believe that I feel very lucky to be here in the States and experiment new opportunities and another mindset which United States offer to many people of the world. But what I wanted to say is that at the end of all, it comes to education and giving those resources to young people that can tomorrow be one of us sitting down here. Without it, we could never see if they're going to reach that potential. And talking now about my present, we as a Council of Global Change, we have these resources that are in disposition to you. And I think I haven't told you what we do right now and what influence do we have. So we are working with one of the most important people in the world, which are the Rockefellers, Rothschild, and Vanderbilt, between others. Why I'm saying this? Not to bluff, but for you to understand that we count with the resources for making these projects happen. There are people that want to help. There are people outside, philanthropists, private sectors, that are ready to give us that help. So it's about joining that forces with you, with your brilliant minds and projects. So I would love to connect after this meeting with everyone that wants to implement their projects and for us to make this actually happen. So I think that would be it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gabriela. We are very happy to have you in our family, and thanks for this offer to build bridges to resource holders. That's certainly a very important part of the expected success, pathway to success that we have. And talking about pathway to success and partners, it's also important to have a strong knowledge base. And we have here, they disappeared? No, we have them. We have our friends in Austria, Nadezhda Komendantova from IAAI. IAAI is the International Institute for Applied Systems Analysis, and one of the most prominent Austrian research organizations. Nadia will tell us more about it, and we are happy and proud to be partners of IAAI. And please, Nadia, tell us about your work.
Ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, dear Miro, thank you very much for your kind invitation. It's a great honor and pleasure for me to be here. I represent International Research Organization, which stands for International Institute of Applied Systems Analysis, IAAI. And IAAI is located in Austria and is being supported by several countries, mainly through National Academies of Science, but also through the ministries of Science and Technology and ministries of Foreign Affairs, to create a multidisciplinary environment for different scientists to work mainly on climate change mitigation, adaptation, and also digital transition. Within IAAI, I am leading the group, which is called Cooperation and Transformative Governance. And in our group, we have more than 30 researchers with different backgrounds. And we implement projects on decision-making, on development of decision support systems, AI tools and models. And these tools, they fall into three categories. The first category is development of compromise-oriented solutions, for example, for digital transformations, for risk assessment, for climate change mitigation and adaptation, where we use our models and also AI tools to understand positions of different stakeholders. And then in the process of negotiations through the multi-criteria decision analysis to understand these different positions and to bring to compromises on different criteria. So step by step, and then further through the mathematical modeling to develop solutions which would be acceptable for all parties. Examples of such work include, for example, strategies and roadmaps which we prepared for a member of national countries and for our international partners. For example, in cooperation with UNIDO, we developed strategy of industrial development for Kyrgyzstan, where digital transformation was a strong component. And the preparation of this strategy was based on multi-criteria decision optimization. The second area is the development of AI tools and models in the area of climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction, where we implement several projects for the European Commission, for example, on how AI could be used in emergency situation and in communication during the disaster situations with various groups of stakeholders. And the third area is the usage of AI and tools to facilitate participation in decision-making processes in various parts of decision-making processes, including different groups of stakeholders. And example here, we are currently having the project for the European Research Council, where we are developing through so-called participatory scenario modeling, the strategies and maps for development of various communities in the Arctic. And AI tools are used to facilitate participation of various groups of stakeholders, including indigenous people. And I am also very happy to have again a chance to discuss with Miro, just to highlight that with Miro and GloCha we had several initiatives together already. So we had a number of joint sessions at COPs 29 and at COP 28. So we have a history here already. We also conducted challenges mapping, and recently we submitted a proposal, a research proposal for the Austrian climate research program, also on AI tools and how AI tools could facilitate participation, participatory governance. And like this, we would be happy to become a partner of GloCha and the Global Challenges Action Innovation Partnership. Thank you very much for your attention, and I would be happy to provide my contact information and to stay in contact and cooperation.
Bravo. Thank you very much, Nadia. It's really such a pleasure to bring you into this Austrian mission here at the UN in New York, that the world sees the great potentials that we have in Austria. And kind regards and a shout out also to our colleague, Dr. Hossein Hassani, who is working partially for you. He helped us also develop our challenges mapping platform, and he is really a wonderful scientist and colleague and partner. So thanks very much and kind regards to Vienna. And we have in Vienna also Daria Shumilova from UNIDO, the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. And we are in contact since COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh. We have met the first time, and at that time your program was the Global Green, you will tell us, Global Clean Tech Innovation Program, yeah. And but the point is that it's all about action and impact, and that we find business models and technologies and everything, that people who develop solutions that are contributing to a climate safe future and to implementation of SDGs, that they are getting rewarded for this. And here your program is a key player, and we are happy to be your partner.
Thank you very much, Miro. Thank you. And thank you very much for once again extending invitation to us to join your event, to join the session organized by you and the other partners. So thank you very much for this invitation. And it's an honor for us to be working with you all these years. And we have had multiple very interesting, very engaging discussions, and a lot of discussions that have provoked further thinking, further discussions, further ideas, and inspired us for further action. So thank you very much for this. I feel that, and I find the topic of the session today extremely interesting and extremely inspiring. I work for the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, and as Miro said, I still work as a communications and gender mainstreaming expert for the Global Cleantech Innovation Program. It is one of the flagship programs of UNIDO, focusing on supporting clean technology innovations in developing countries. So what we work with is basically emerging technologies and new technologies, but coming from the developing countries, early stage innovations, grassroots innovations. And what we do within the program, we support them from two levels. So from one point, we accelerate those solutions by providing them business training, business mentoring, providing them with key skills, how to develop their business models, how to develop their innovation in a way that it can become successful in the long run, that it can attract investment, it can attract partners, it can be piloted together with private sector, and how it can initially go into the national market, regional markets, and then reach global markets. And we have such like a couple of cases of those companies that went through the program. They first started developing on the national level, then they went regional, and now they're going global, and they are having contracts with companies like global companies such as HP, Panasonic. So we have such examples. So what we work with is innovation. So for us, innovation is key. Innovation is what we like, innovative solutions. And for us, we are lucky to have a very close connection with the word solution, with the word innovation, because we speak to those people, we speak to those who develop those innovations, not only so digital innovations and hardware innovations, but when we talk about solutions, we know who we talk about. We know those people, we know all those individuals that we have really a great honor to work with, who we have the great honor to support. However, what we do see very often, and this is the case for almost every country, are all the barriers that those people, those innovators encounter to bring their solutions to market, to bring their innovative solutions for energy efficiency, for waste management, for water management. So all those issues that we have in addressing, so environmental issues, climate mitigation issues, they present very often easy solutions, competitive solutions, solutions that are that can present a very cost-effective, resource-effective alternative to existing practices. But what we often see are the barriers that they encounter on the technology development, on the piloting, on the investment facilitation. They don't have access to the investor networks. They don't have access to visibility opportunities. They don't have access to the possibilities to pilot their innovation at the premises, at some company premises, to validate their technology and say, our technology is validated, our technology is successful. And also they have no means very often to validate the impact of their technology. They say, yes, our innovation can mitigate this amount of GHG emissions, but how do we validate this? How do we make it accessible for like on the global level? And how do we make it validated in a way that we can recognize it, and we can say that this is indeed a validated solution? So this is where I think the need for partnership is crucial, and the need for tools is also crucial. So we talked all like other panelists, they talked about the different partners, so private sector, academia, non-profit. All those partners are critical in making sure that those solutions from developing countries, those early stage innovators, can present their solutions globally and can really contribute to the global development goals and climate action goals. And I'm no expert in the blockchain technology. I will be very honest here. And the talk about AI sometimes terrifies me and makes me very frustrated. But if I know and understand a little bit about these technologies and this area of innovations, I can say that I see the potential of blockchain in being of help to those people who are in those countries, who are really trying their best to change the life of their communities, change the life of the planet for the better. And I think that this is our goal all together to make this happen for them. So I think I will leave it here. I will not make it too long. Thank you very much, Miro, once again for this opportunity. Happy to connect with everyone, and to, like, if anyone is interested in pursuing these discussions further, happy to connect via LinkedIn or online or by email. Thank you.
Bravo, yeah. It's great work that they're doing. It's really relevant for improving the lives of people and to helping also those who want to improve the lives of their communities. And we are happy and proud to have UNIDO in Vienna. So it's really only a train ride away from Klagenfurt, and great that we are joining forces also as Austrian stakeholders. And so this was now this part about technology, our technology pillar, which is somehow the foundation for this, our USP, unique selling proposition. This makes us unique as a partnership, that we really have the solutions and the resources to build the structures so that the masses can come on and join the movement in a meaningful and rewarding manner. We've worked on this music and art dimension of global challenges action empowerment since 2011, and Christina Stevens, our creative director, who will also join virtually, was leading this. And we've seen it's really a lot of excitement that we can create with music and arts and other related programs. But if we don't give the digital tools that the people can really connect in a sustainable manner in local and globally embedded local communities, then this momentum disappears after a few weeks. And therefore, we are now focusing really to having our Good Life app, so to say, and this dashboard app and all the tools in place, so that once the tsunami comes, that we will create with the cultural dimension of our work, that people will have a place to connect and that have us on their mobile devices. And now to this Global Challenges Action Day, and Giselle Allers is one of our leaders in this field. Please tell us your perspectives on the Global Challenges Action Day and also on culture and the people and resources that you are bringing to this partnership, please.
Thank you, Miro. I'm truly in gratitude. I think everything has to be birthed from a place of gratitude. So thank you very much to the mission of Austria, to Ambassador Smith and his very strategic way of thinking. And more so, his gift for listening. I think that no one in this room can say that has not engaged the ambassador that doesn't receive that, where he is listening to be able to chew and digest and kind of bring out a strategic approach to being able to fulfill what we are now engaging in. I come and what I have been building for several years now is to be able to bring financial talent to the table who have implemented in their space and have strong knowledge. Today, I have the honor to be accompanied by Frances Newton, who has a deep, very deep understanding of central bank systems. I think that for us to be able to impact change, we have to work within the system and see how we can translate, interpret, and transfer where everything becomes a plug and play. I think that in being able to have the financial conversation of something that all parties can engage in and understand, we have to realize that when we don't understand, we shut down. And with shutting down, we're not open to opportunity. I think that the talent that has come to the table is so extraordinary that to bring forth that knowledge from all these spaces, having implemented, because one thing is to have an idea, another thing is to have executed. Everybody has executed in their space. And when they're put in front of different projects, just out of intuition, they know if it's possible and how it's going to be received and how do we have to present it to be able to be engaged with all sectors. Because we have to have a multi-sector approach. Everybody has to plug and play, but more importantly, in setting those grounds, we have to be very clear that every single part of that has to be reflected. How do we have that conversation? How do we create that safety zone to be able to build everything that we're set out, but more importantly, capable of doing? Because there's no question that everyone in this table has the capability to engage together as a collective to be able to execute. That is really what we're here about. My contribution to this initiative is what I feel, and this is why it excites me so, because we're creating a platform where we all can engage. It's not just a day, it's what that day will impact. You see Women Empowerment Days, you see Earth Day, but when you really look to see the policies that they have leveraged and the advancement that they have done from just the creation of those days is what this is about. It's a powerful tool in itself. From the talent that we at our commission bring forth, it's for that we can all go into these spaces with our knowledge, knowing that what we present is doable, knowing that we are creating the checks and balances among ourselves, knowing that we're holding that hard regard because so many people on a global impact is going to benefit from it. We can't be just another think tank. We're way beyond that. It's about action. With the Knowledge Innovation Summit, which is what I also bring to the table, is creating those spaces because we need to prepare the foundation for the youth that we need to be able to uplift, to be able to address the digital divide. We need to have strategic approaches on that. And that's why I often refer to the Knowledge Innovation Summit as a chess game. It's the perfect example of innovation. It's strategic, it's critical, and it's creative. And that's what this comes to. How can we move forward in a space where we have to create sustainability? This is not something of charity. This is about using every single component. If it's a nonprofit, if it's private sector, if it's public sector, if it's academia, we move cohesively and together. What are we going to do to be able to make it where we all together can come into this conversation? Why do I set forth the Knowledge Innovation Summit? Because that's what it is. It's about creating a space and a safe ground where we can all come into that conversation from our knowledge to a place where we're honored from our intellectual property and we are able to write in intellectual levels. We're able to present cohesively before governments, and we're able to create pathways for change and action. The Knowledge Innovation Summit is being able to identify the resources we have because, once again, this is not about nonprofit work on the ground. This is about creating sustainability. We all have to wake up and go to work as part of the change. This is not something that's on the sidelines. It's crucial to our existence that we are able to move cohesively and to be able to create that every single time we get up in the morning, we're going to work towards climate mitigation and adaptation through the stories of resilience and how are we going to aid them? How are we going to give our youth the resources? How are we going to teach them how to fish? That is what it's about. And I feel honored to be among so many experts, so many people of like mind and like hearts, because this is not just about, this is selfless giving. I think that to be able to anchor this with academia that has so many resources that we can maximize as a group, to be able to bring corporations to create what I would like to say sustainable development corporations, where at the heart of that is creating sustainability to eliminate vulnerability. That's what I feel, and I bring forth with a lot of love, because I think it all comes from a place of love. My resources to be utilized as a collective, to be able to maximize opportunity, to anchor it in education, and not just education as we think at a higher level. We're talking about education across the board. How do everybody sees themselves in this ecosystem that we're building, that when they see it, they know exactly where they belong? How can we create those spaces to be able to push forward and everyone live their expectations? How can we provide health? How can we provide employment? How can we provide food? Because I truly, truly believe that it's in providing opportunity that can we excel. It's not about gifting. No, it's about working each single, like everyone in this room has done, through our opportunities and through the conditions we live, good, bad, or ugly, we sit here. And our opportunity is to give opportunities to others. For me, it's about legacy. Thank you very much. The Knowledge Innovation invites you all to please find a place of comfort to bring your thoughts, your knowledge to academia, to traditional finance institutions that we need to hold their hands also through university certifications to teach them how to come into patient finance. The next 5 to 7 years, it's declared, there's not going to be another conversation that isn't sustainable finance. How are we going to get there? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for all the great contributions and also for highlighting the importance of knowledge. It's really our theory of change that knowledge is at the heart of bringing everyone together. And one resource and partner that you've brought is also Chris. He has been so kind to develop the homepage for us. Could we put the homepage on the screen? Chris, could you briefly introduce yourself, your thinking regarding how the homepage could function and what is needed in terms of communication? Well,
absolutely.
Again. Yeah, okay, I cannot show it. My keypad is not working. Okay, no,
there you
now
go.
I can have to duplicate this. And now it should work. Let's try again. Is it
Maybe to get out of
Global
this there.
Channels Action Day now, or is still the B?
Which one?
It should be this one. Oh, okay. Okay, I don't know why it doesn't show. You just explain it.
Not a problem. My name is Cristiano Vaughn. I'm the creative director for the Global Challenges Action Day. Really, really excited to be a part of this project. I have not been in the UN sector at all in my career, so actually this is the first time. And one of the areas I'm really the most excited about is really the messaging for this project and really finding a way that we can reach the most amount of people to ultimately get them to take action. So I'm really going to be focused with the rest of the creative team that I'm going to be working with to really find a way to tell the story so we can get people to want to be a part of it, want to take action, and be excited about it, and want to share everything that they're doing. So the plan with the website right now, we only have one page, but we're going to have a lot of action. We're going to have a lot of videos and things that people are doing around the world that are going to be a part of it and going to be very interactive and very excited to see, what kind of action we're going to get from all the different contributors.
Thank you very much. The homepage and the corresponding communication will be the central hub for really the mass mobilization. And as was outlined, we are really aiming to be the biggest movement for the common good worldwide in human history. So there will be a lot to be done. And we have Christina Stevens on our team, our creative director. She has some issues now logging in. Edin is helping us a little bit, but meanwhile, I would ask Mac to tell us how we build the movement and the family in Japan with music for SDGs.
Thank you very much. I'm Mark Okubo, the director for the Music for SDGs. So since I was invited by the Austrian permanent delegation, I wish I could speak something intellectual in German, but my German is very basic, like Dankeschön, Bitteschön, wie geht es Ihnen mit SDGs? But anyway, so let me speak in English. So after hearing all of your discussions, I feel the very, very huge synchronicity that we have been doing. So we can, and I'm sure that we can collaborate in many different aspects in the holistic way. So the innovation, you talked a lot about innovations, but innovation does not lie in technology. So that lies in the mindset of the new mindset of the combining something which seemed irrelevant in the past. For example, like we are, as a speaker, I talk about the combining the music and education, craftsmanship, the traditional culture with the animation and movie. For example, we can talk about, helping the people through production of the movies and bringing the climate action through fashion show. So we have been exploring the new combination and partnership. It is something that we can work together. So actually, believe it or not, after dancing in the in the reception and drinking a lot and having a chat with all friends, so I have to prepare my PowerPoint slides for the midnight meeting with the APEC finance ministers process. And I have reported on the work plans for the Asia Pacific region. And we confirm that the 3 priorities for APEC finance minister this year is digitalization, sustainability, and resilience. You see the topics. So if you're interested in teaming up with Asia Pacific region, I'll be the one-stop liaison for any topics that you're talking about. And we are just, look at yourself, look at us. We are all excellent in many different ways. Some people who have knowledge, some people who can deal with IT, those people who are creative, for example, kind of managing things, and also those who can sing, who can dance, good looking. I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about the different good nature, but please believe that. So those good features does not exist for you. That exists for you to contribute to the society. So if you have something good, please make sure that you use that for the good purpose, environment, social, inclusion. This is why you have that feature. And by collaborating, we can make something that we cannot do individually. This is very important. You talk a lot about AI yesterday and today. So there's something that all of you should remember forever about AI. AI, I means love in Japanese. I is love. For example, same for Chinese. I love you is wo ai ni, right? So I. So whenever you hear the word AI, please remember that you are talking about love. So AI should be used to deliver love to the humans. Passing the love from one generation to another, one partner to others. So please make sure that aspects. So as on behalf of Music for SDGs, I want to say something about music. So when G7 was, the last verse. So when G7 was hosted in Japan, we brought the music and bringing the very good harmony of G7. You see the code, G7. But I would propose something additional to G7. We can do the music of B7 and also C7. In other words, government, business, civil society can work together to make this happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mac. I'd like to introduce one of our other partners, Vincent Arena, who is not on the program. Thank you for joining us today, Vincent. He's a design thinker, avid prototyper, mapper of systems and knowledge, and really helping us to map these global challenges in an actionable way across all levels.
The right button.
Thanks, Susanna. Hi, everyone. I'm just going to speak briefly to maybe some of the principles that I think would be helpful for us to all keep in mind as we try to come into greater coordination and collaboration across the different sectors and bioregions, countries that we're all representing, and trying to also represent the various different stakeholders that are not here and don't have the luck to be here right now. So I'm the founder of a new nonprofit called OmniMapping, which is a fiscally sponsored project of the Buckminster Fuller Institute. And we've been taking Buckminster Fuller's principle of design science and trying to make it something that is very approachable for people who are doing mapping and matchmaking, which I think is at the heart of a lot of the work that we're all doing here, whether we do that through tools or just in our brains and connecting to each other and making those connections and unlocking the opportunities. And some of the principles that I think we need to take into consideration when we are building these different data platforms and maps is one, to make sure that there's interoperability across the different scales. And I think that there's like three main layers. So there's the personal layer of we all have, our own phones, messages, interactions on information. The second is the sort of organizational team layer. We're often collaborating with each other on information. So whether that's like a community space or a platform that people are coming together to work collaboratively. And then we have the sort of global level, like Wikipedia, where you have commons that people are contributing to. And just being able to identify those different layers that you're working in. And if you're not thinking about how to share the information across them, then looking to other people in this room that are working on those other layers. And maybe one of the other principles is to think about how we can do mapping in a way that also helps us share information across, on any one layer, across different platforms and across different organizations. And what I've learned in building about 100 different ecosystem maps over the past 4 years is that often we don't think about the process of how we're going to collect information at the start and think of that holistically. So by the time we get to the end of a project, we're like, oh wait, we have to go back to the beginning and redesign the entire way of collecting the information because we didn't get the right privacy permissions and we didn't think about the goals from the start. So I think being able to come together and align on those shared goals and then work backwards and create technology, like also saying that can, actually, Michael has mentioned creating the tools that are helping us achieve our goals and not just innovation for innovation's sake. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Vincent. And we are happy that Christina has succeeded now to log on. And you are our great storyteller. You will show us the way with your visionary images and videos. But please, in about 3 minutes, because we are already over time. Yeah?
Oh, okay. Yes, I can do that fast. Well, thank you, everyone. And I won't make the long list of everyone, the people I see, the people behind the doors, the people that have been helping all the people bring together their projects and their incentives and all the solutions that are coming to the table. Because this is, I mean, it's really amazing because I know I've been working, Miro and I and everyone I see have been working on these solutions for years, and everyone in the room and all the people behind them have been doing this. And at the end of this line is civil society. It's the people that we are wanting to speak to, and where, you know, our hearts are open to help, and they're all over the world. So this is, and I have to say, unless you live in a rock, under a rock or in a cave, you know that we're in a revolution that exceeds the Industrial Revolution. And this is something I always say. We are the generation we have been waiting for. And when I say we are the generation, it doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter how much money you make, doesn't matter where you live. When we're in the room, we're a new generation of movers, of change makers, and of solution bringers. So what I want to say is, you know, when we talk about the people and what they know, as I said, they know that we're in very unusual and transformational times, and it's so hard to get a handle on it. It's so confusing. It's overwhelming. You say to someone climate change and they go, when I say, you know, you can do your bit for climate change, you can actually make an impact. They don't believe me. So then we have to show them how they can. So anyway, this is, and you know, that's why I head up a platform called Evolution Love. Why love? Love is the opposite of fear. And every country in the world has a beautiful word for love. So we know it translates brilliantly, and everyone knows where love comes from. It comes from that unknown place that just moves you. And it's one of those things that you can't describe, but you just go with it. So anyway, when you fall in love, you just go with it. Now, and here's the thing, when I said it's all very confusing, when you understand something, you care about it. And when you care about it, that's when you're going to take action. But we need to understand what our challenges are. And Miro, you said, how do we identify our challenges? And this is what I want to share with you, because yesterday I showed you a couple of videos. And actually, if you please, everyone, go to evolutionlove.co and you will see a whole slew of 1 minute, I could take you a few minutes, 1 minute messages that will guide you and lead you to where the solutions are. And it will lead you to where you can educate yourself, where you can find out more about what climate change means, what all the problems that we have all over the world, what they mean. And we've sourced it from the UN SDGs. There's 17 of them. There probably should be more of them. And maybe they're going to transform into into something new. But what I want to say is, when we identify our challenges, and how do we do that? Well, many years ago, I'm going to tell you a little story. Many years ago, I went to India and I filmed Mother Teresa and I filmed the Dalai Lama. And at the time, I was also working on commercials for the Church of Latter-day Saints, for the Mormons. And they saw the work that I did and they went, "Oh, we love this. We want to distribute it for you." And I went, "Well, how are you going to do that?" Well, it so happens that pretty much every country in the world has a public service promise that they will show. Most TV channels will show at least 20% of their airtime and gift that airtime to public service messages. And so we have that space. So it's not just social media. I mean, I have built the social media campaign. I've got to take a drink of water because I'm getting parched. I'm getting so excited. I always do, I'm sorry. You know me. Anyway, so they distributed my 60-second, 90-second, and 2-minute message from Mother Teresa and from the Dalai Lama all over the world. Now, this was a long time ago. And what they did was they put them on VHS tapes and they mailed them across the planet. I mean, amazing. But what we were gifted with was over $20 million worth of free airtime. Now, these days, we can just send links. It's really, really simple. It's not, we don't have to mail them or package them up, but you also have to know who to send it to and who are the networks in all of the countries. And if we can get that information, then we can blast the airwaves with not only information about the Global Challenges Action Day, but we can pull everyone into the solutions so that they can start to take charge themselves and people will feel like they're participating in this amazing event that is happening on planet Earth so quickly. So anyway, so I just wanted to share with you that there is a way that we can get into communities, into families, into their TVs, not into their streaming TVs, because many don't have streaming TVs. You know, little villages somewhere have a TV and they watch it, and we can get in there because we're due that time. It's public service time, and Evolution Love is a public service platform. So anyway, so identifying these, and when they understand the challenge, we also then show them how they can find their tribe, because you don't do anything alone. We all know we don't do any alone. And who knows if the person down the road from you, this AI is going to help us with that, to locate everyone in your midst, in your community, on your wherever you live. We can show them how they can find them and do work with them. And we can also lead them to a lot of your websites, a lot of the work that you're doing, and to the Global Challenges Action Network, if that's what it is. So that's what we can do. I think my time is up, is it?
Yes,
sure.
it is. We
Hear
have
that?
to close.
Okay, well, I just want to say one more thing. Yesterday, John gave a message. Who was it? Margaret Mead had this quote, and there's nothing as powerful as an idea whose time has come. And we are at the brink of that time. We are there now. How great we're all together. I love it. And there's another quote, because you're in the Austrian mission. So I have to share Goethe's quote, which is, whatever you think you can do or dream you can do it now, because boldness has courage and magic in it. With a magic. Thank you.
Thank you very much for these beautiful words of inspiration and encouragement, Christina, our creative director. And now to our champion, to Ambassador Stan Smith for the closing remarks.
That's great. In thanking all of you for being here and also online, I have in mind really to say just three things. There are eminently powerful, effective architectures that individually exist in the room, technologies and ideas, and elsewhere. In thinking about scaling, we have to coalesce these things around some specific ambitions that can have global value and impact. What I've seen so far is an intentional kind of inspiration, and it matches the demands of the challenges that we have, and that's important. That's encouraging. We are in an environment that geopolitically is splintering deeply, and it is splintering deeply towards the aggregation of power. And this power threatens to be destructive. And against all of this, we have legacy institutions and notions of how this world should be constructed. And this group is seeking to champion and create actions that support sustainability and reinforce goodness in the world. It is very difficult to get the leading institutionalists to accept something that is very new. And so what comes to mind is my third point, to think of what we're doing in terms of modes of development. When the general agreement on tariffs and trade started to sputter and slow to a close in about 1986, the reflection was that we have to transform our trade global environment into something that actually can meet the demands of a globalizing space. And we end up 8 years later with a World Trade Organization. This was achieved through rounds of discussions about development and trade and ministerial conferences. And so this is the first shot, the first public collective shot of this kind in seeking to achieve something that becomes a cultural institution for how you create an innovation creation dynamic around a new kind of commons for what the world should produce. And so the caution is not to be seduced by the wonderful ideas that we each individually have that you are championing alone, but to decide how we can find the right configurations in what we have that can actually have a global impact in the community we serve. And so with that, I thank you very much for being here. I'm very pleased to be involved. The Bahamas mission is pleased to be involved. And I look forward to reinforcing and strengthening the relationships and creating new ideas and supporting and making more robust the assets and the actors in this space, knowing that the need to democratize access to knowledge and expertise is important. And so we support you, the youth, in being here and supporting what we do, and hope that we have a greater gathering of like-minded persons moving forward. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Thank you, everyone, for having been here, for contributing your ideas, your resources, your time to building this partnership. Resources currently are on gday.org. GAC Day. GAC Day, yeah, GACday.org. Global Channels actually, GCAD.org. It's a new homepage. Just started yesterday. And also on, if you put the hashtag GloCha in a search engine, you will also receive information about elements of the solution that we have developed all over time. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the Austrian mission. Christian was a key person. Arno has helped us a lot. Lucas somewhere, and also Deputy Permanent Representative Stefan. It's really an honor and pleasure being here, and we have some coffee there, and we can mingle a little bit around. And thanks again. And there's a phone, yeah.